We are monitoring members of the KwaZulu-Natal Provincial Executive Council's visit to the royal family to pay their respects following the bowing out of King Goodwill Zwelithini Bhekuzulu. Let's bring in now my colleague Ayanda Mhlongo, who is in Nongoma in KwaZulu-Natal. Ayanda, a very good morning to you. What are you witnessing there?
Very good morning to you, Blaine. Good morning to our viewers. Yeah, from this morning, Blaine, we've seen leaders of the various political parties arriving here at Kwakhethomthandayo Royal Palace to come and pay their tributes and their condolences to the royal family. Of course, as you've said there in your introduction, that we are also expecting a delegation from the province of KwaZulu-Natal that is going to be led by the Premier Sihle Zikalala. We are also told that former President Jacob Zuma is also going to be paying the family a visit today, and he and other ministers. We understand that the Minister of Cooperative Governance, Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, the Minister of Police, Bhekuzulu, and several other ministers are also going to be part of a delegation of national ministers that are also going to be coming through here to the palace to pay their tributes on behalf of the national government. So this morning, Blaine, it has really been busy since the morning with, as I said, the leaders coming through here. But of course, in between them, members of the public from the various areas across the province of KwaZulu-Natal, Amakosi and other traditional leaders also still continuing to come through from the various clans. Yesterday as well, partly most of the day, we saw traditional leaders, Amakosi, come through to pay their respects. So it has, as I said, certainly been rather already been busy outside the palace here this morning. Blaine, what I could also say that, of course, while the visitors have been coming in, mourners have been coming in to pay their tribute, the discussions are still going on in terms of preparations for the burial of His Majesty King Goodwill Zwelithini. What we've heard, which is unconfirmed at the moment, is that the funeral service is likely to be held on Thursday this coming week, and this is the information that we have heard, which of course we'll await a statement that we understand is going to be made today officially through Inkosi Ubuthelezi, who is the Prime Minister to the Zulu monarch and the Zulu and amaZulu. So that statement we expect that will come through today. Of course, there are the finer details that the family is still from yesterday. As we know, that there was the first meeting amongst members of the royal family. It was the first time yesterday that they were able to meet to discuss the plans for the funeral. And what we have picked up is that a date that has been decided will be Thursday. Just going to move just a little bit here, Blaine, as I move towards this side, and just you can see that today what has happened is that of course, one of the concerns for the royal family has been to ensure that they are COVID compliant. To understand that a number of people have been coming through today, and they've been insisting. So what has happened is that people are going to be seated outside, and they've been brought in into groups. Of course, you see there in our shots the president of the IFP, Mr. Hlabisa, and his delegation, the National Executive Committee members of the IFP. They are also here, and we will chat to him hopefully in just about a minute from now. But behind us, these are the traditional leaders who are unable to make it yesterday, and they're amongst the groups that have come through here today. We also see live in your pictures Prince Tulani Zulu, the brother to the king. Just going to move around again and show you here, Blaine, what I was trying to speak about earlier on, is that the guests that are coming through today are seated in this area, and they've been going in groups. And of course, this is as the royal family is trying to control the numbers of people that are going to be going inside. Before people go in, there is a desk where their temperatures are taken and they are sanitized, and they're trying their best as they can to manage the numbers of people that are coming in to pay their respects. Amongst the other leaders that we saw from the the opposition parties. There was the leader of the EFF in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, Vusikoza. We saw the leader of the Democratic Alliance, Mhlongo. The speaker of the KwaZulu-Natal legislature was also here, and some of the members of the KZN legislature were also part of the delegation that have come through this morning. I'm going to ask my colleague Mdu if we move this, but we do apologize, Blaine, that we are moving around. Certainly it's a small area that we've been trying to maneuver here, where there's a lot that is happening. You will hear now one of the King's Praise singers. These are cows that are going to be handed over to the royal family by the leader of the IFP, and we'll be speaking to him shortly in terms of the significance of this. Usually we know that when there are celebrations, that gifts, or when people had come to meet with the king, there would have been gifts that would have been handed through to His Majesty. But in this time, obviously with it being a different occasion, we will then hopefully speak to the president of the IFP to explain this gesture to the royal family. All right, let's just move across here and see if we can get... We are live. Let's see if we can move across here, trying to maneuver our way. We do apologize. We have the president of the IFP, Velenkosini Hlabisa. Thank you very much, sir, for your time. Obviously, a difficult moment for you to this morning as leading the delegation from the IFP to come and pay your tributes to the royal family, sir.
This really is a sad day to all of us. The IFP leadership is coming to pay its tribute to His Majesty, to convey our condolences and the condolences of His Excellency Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi, because he is part of us and he is also part of the royal family. The departure of His Majesty leaves the country and the Zulu nation naked. We are at the weakest point. His Majesty the King was an exemplary leader. He promoted the culture of Africanness, the culture of the Zulu nation. He promoted the values of African people. He was a champion of defending women and children. He was in the forefront in the fight against gender-based violence. He was a champion of education. He was a champion of encouraging people to rely on their hands, cultivating land to produce food that can support them on a daily basis. His Majesty the King, he did not fold his hands during the fight against the pandemic, COVID-19. He was in the forefront in fighting against the spread of this pandemic, in encouraging people to comply with the health protocol. We mourn the departure of His Majesty. We pray that God help the royal family during this difficult time to make the family of His Majesty united. After the whole situation, emerge as one family to provide leadership in the Zulu kingdom.
But to speak to us in terms of political parties, as a political party, we know that the king was one person that he would go to discuss when there were challenges, political issues, political instability. What does this loss mean for yourself as a leader of a political party?
The departure of His Majesty the King is mourned in every aspect. As a political party, the IFP knows the role His Majesty played. His Majesty was in the forefront even during the times of violence in preaching unity. His Majesty believed in coexistence. His Majesty never took side of one political party against other political party. All the political parties in South Africa and in KwaZulu-Natal, we knew that when we experience difficult times, His Majesty is going to be the center. He's going to be in the middle in trying to bring everybody to see with one eye and move forward. That is why the IFP mourns the departure of His Majesty the King.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hlabisa. Thank you so much for your time. So the president there of the IFP, of course, he was leading his delegation, leaders of the Inkatha Freedom Party, their National Executive Committee here to pay their respects to the King. And as you were saying, Blaine, this is the sentiments that have been shared by leaders of other political parties, that at times in the province where there were political challenges, as you know, that the province of KwaZulu-Natal has had a history of political violence. Whenever the province approached elections, there was always tensions, and the King was always the person that they were able to go to seek guidance. He was always able to be the one to call the parties together in an effort, and he's been lauded for his efforts in bringing about peace and stability in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. I mean, I remember here in the area of Nongoma, at a time when it was a no-go area, where some political parties would want to come in and campaign, and they simply couldn't. And it took the King to bring together those rival parties, sit them down, and as a result, after his intervention, other political parties were then able to come through and simply campaign ahead of the election. So certainly in terms of the political parties, they've expressed what a loss it is for them coming into the role that he played here in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. I also mentioned that amongst the political parties that are here, also the leaders of the EFF, you remember that the leader of the EFF, Julius Malema, also led a delegation here to come and meet with the King. And after having met with the King, he also spoke about how important it was for them to recognize King Goodwill Zwelithini, and also just thanking him as being a father, a role model, and someone who, as a political party leaders, whenever they experience challenges here in KwaZulu-Natal, he was the person that they were able to go to. So certainly in terms of the political parties, very important for them, and very, really, I suppose, a difficult time for them as they to come through to express their sadness and their condolences to the royal family. I'm just trying to look around as well to see if we can get some of the other political parties that have come through here today. They were around. Unfortunately, I cannot see them, but we know that. Let's move just a little bit and see if we can get the Democratic Alliance or the leaders of the EFF who were also here. I think it's important, Blaine, that we speak to them and sort of get the sense of what this loss means to them. This year, we are already building up to the local government elections, which we're expecting to take place later on this year. And as has often been, unfortunately, in KZN, the tensions building up to the elections. So it would have been a fact that they would have come to the King before the elections and the build-up to the elections, and as and when there were challenges, they would then come to the King to seek guidance, knowing that the King would have been able to bring together the parties to try and mediate between them so that they could all work in harmony. They could campaign freely across the province of KwaZulu-Natal. I'm looking around. It doesn't look like they are around here, but just on my right, I can still see amaKhosi as well, some of delegation from some of the other clans. they are also have just arrived as well and are waiting to go through. But Blaine, let me leave it here for now as we try to locate the opposition parties here in KwaZulu-Natal, and we'll come back to you. So I think it's important that we also speak to them this morning.
All right, Ayanda, thank you very much indeed. In Nongoma, there in KwaZulu-Natal, we will touch base with Ayanda in a short while as well, and maybe also remind our viewers about what was said last night by the Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi as well. You saw the emotion that ran through his face. We will remind you if you missed that address by Prince Buthelezi last night in terms of some of the big takeaways from his address. All that and much more coming up next.